I've been writing Hyprland for about 4 years now, and despite such a long amount of time passing, I still had not come across this tool called Instant Eyedropper Reborn. It's basically a tool that allows you to pick colors, but it's not just any other color picker, okay? As you guys are seeing on this heads-up display, there's quite a lot of features that differentiate it from any other tool, like Hyperpicker, for example. Like, I'm pretty sure this is what most of us who are using Hyprland are actually using in order to pick colors, okay? It works, no big deal. You can pick any of the colors that you want to, great. But then, when it comes to a lot more features, definitely, okay, Instant Eyedropper has it, beat. It has it dead in the water. So let me show you what I'm talking about. If I start, okay, this is the normal UI that you're going to see, something like this, okay? Now, whatever binds that you're seeing on the heads-up display, I will walk you through them, and then I will show you how you can set this up yourself. So left mouse button is to actually capture a pixel, okay? Now, let's say I wanted to get this little pixel over here. I just click the left mouse button. With that animation, the hex code is copied to the clipboard. So now if I paste it down, you will see that, ta-da, it's actually pasted in whichever context I might be using it in. That's one thing. Next thing is actually aborting the action. So let's say I wanted to do something, but then I just wanted to quit for whatever reason. I can just press the right mouse button or the escape key, and then it's going to close out the app. Then the middle mouse button. So this is a feature that you're definitely going to consider a lifesaver if you are writing Hyprland. So us Hyprland writers, right, we do a lot of work with color because color is a major part of writing Hyprland and basically your entire UI. Okay, a lot of thought has to go into it to make sure that it's intentional and to make sure that all of the colors end up meshing together and fitting properly so that you can actually get the kind of aesthetic that you want to. And one tool, okay, this tool makes it super easy when you're dealing with colors, because instead of copying a bunch of colors to your clipboard and then opening your clipboard every single time you wanted to get access to said colors, or, taking them and pasting them all in one file, but then you losing track of which color is which, okay, because you cannot exactly visualize freaking hex codes in your head, right? Instead of doing all that, you can actually take the colors and then you can store them in a deck. So let's say I wanted this gray color, I copy that, and then the pink from here, and then the orange, perhaps this white color as well, and then let's see, this sort of blue tone, and then the green from the grass, and there you go. I have literally created a color palette extracted from whatever colors that I wanted to from this particular wallpaper. Very easy. If I wanted to, I could just go through these colors, whichever one I wanted to, and then use them inside of whichever application I was theming, whether it be GTK or VS Codium or anything like that. That's pretty much, I'm pretty sure, the main difference between Hyperpicker or any other color picker and this one. The ability to store colors like this inside of the app itself without having to use your clipboard for every small thing. That and the zooming features, which we'll get to in just a second. Zooming and precision. Okay, so the next one, as you're seeing here, is called precision nudge. So if I use the arrow keys, I will be able to move pixel by pixel. Let's say I wanted to reduce the aperture, or basically that you see that red little square over there? That is the currently highlighted pixel. So if I wanted to, reduce the threshold, if you would like to call that, okay, I just do it with the keybinds you're seeing here, and then I'm able to move pixel by pixel until I highlight the exact pixel that I want to choose. Let's say I wanted this white color, okay? Slightly changes because I still haven't gone as precise as possible. Let's go full on precise. It turns out you can't even get the color like that, but that's fine. Okay, we can reduce it even further, and then we can get it. Hit it out, as you can see over here. Such precise color picking is definitely not possible with Hyperpicker, especially because you're using your mouse. Even if you could use your keyboard, there's no way you're getting up this up close and personal with the color that you actually want to pick. That's another thing. Then, if you wanted to hyper jump, so basically just instead of moving pixel by pixel at a time, you wanted to use your keyboard to move from one place to the other, you use shift, right? And that jumps from context to context inside of the wallpaper, okay? I'm pretty sure it's using some sort of OCR, or basically some AI model, if I'm not wrong, but I could be wrong. I haven't exactly, combed through the code myself. Anyway, it's doing something where it allows you to jump between different parts of the wallpaper to make it a bit easier to navigate around when it comes to picking the colors. Then you can also switch between different color formats. So 1 through 0 is for switching between color formats, right? So you can use 1 for hex. 1 is actually HTML, and hex. This is RGB, RGB float, HSL, then HSV. This is CMYK, Delphi. Apparently that's what a thing. Then V8X, and this is long. Yeah, this is the color just represented as a long, which is pretty good. The one you're going to be using most often, I'm pretty sure, is going to be HTML, RGB float, not RGB float, but RGB and HSL. Yep, HSL. Okay, great. Next thing is adjusting the aperture. So if I scroll, okay, it either zooms into the picture or zooms out. Let's say I wanted to get the color of this very the petal that you're seeing over here. So I just zoom in quite a lot, increasing the aperture to the point where I can make out the individual pixels, and then I just select that. The mouse is definitely not the best job for this, but I can use it and then still select whichever pixel that I wanted to. Pretty amazing. Then for shifted scroll, if I wanted to adjust the magnifier, okay, how actually zoomed in the window itself is, letting you peek into the colors that are going to be zoomed in, that's basically the magnifier, right? So if I shift scroll up, you can see that the window is getting much, much bigger. This makes it a lot easier for me to actually zoom in even further and then pick out the color that I want to, which is pretty sweet. If I want to zoom back out, reduce the size of the magnifier, I just do that, and then I'm done. If I want to adjust the size of the code, the hex code that you're seeing right now, just control scroll, and then that does the trick. You can reduce it to the point where it's just disappeared, to the point where this becomes just a window and you're not actually seeing a hex preview. So if you wanted to just copy the value to the clipboard without doing anything much with it, or actually without seeing it in real time, you could do that as well. But I prefer to have just a little bit of the code visible, so I can actually see what's going on. Then alt scroll basically adjusts the aim field. So if you're going for background colors like this, you're not necessarily going to have to keep such a precise, point for you to choose the colors off of. So you can just increase the aim field, and pick a much bigger color, and just pick a more prominent color, something like this orange or even this blue. It doesn't really require that precise of a field, so you can increase or decrease the size depending on what you're trying to actually go for. And then last thing you're seeing here, or the second to last thing, is the Wayland trigger. So sig user 1 IE-R, that's the Wayland trigger. So basically to get this to show, because Wayland, in its attempt to be secure, removes global keybinds, they've mentioned it in the wiki over here, you actually have to send a signal to the application itself. So this is a daemon that's running in the background. It's not like Hyperpicker, which is just, going to be launched at the time of launch and then going to die once you're done with it. Okay, this is a daemon that's going to be running in the background. So you're going to have to send it signals in order to communicate with it, which is pretty sweet in its own way. It's better than trying to come up with a completely new system just to, get this one tool working. Then to toggle this HUD on or off, you just have to press the backtick key, and then that's going to do the trick for you. It's not the tilde key, even though that's what's being displayed over there. Unless you hold shift, it's not going to be the tilde, it's the backtick. So yeah, there's that. Okay, great. Now, how do you actually install this? It's very simple. I will show you how to install it, and then you can get it working on your system as well. Here is basically the part where they're talking about the integration with Wayland. You're basically supposed to use signals instead of doing the normal thing with just launching the application. So you're going to have a daemon running in the background, much like you do with AWWW. They actually updated the name, so it's not SWWW anymore. Okay, so there's that. And let's show you what that does. So if I just pkill -sig user 1 IER, so instant, what's the name? Instant instant eyedropper reborn, right? So now if I do that, sig user 1 actually brings this menu up, and sig user 2 brings up a Rafi menu that allows you to pick between the different colors that you had previously chosen, as well as change a couple of settings. So the settings would be something like this, right? Show HUD, edit config, so on and so forth. But most of the time, you're not going to want to edit any of the config. You're just going to want to get the colors that are in your, stored thing, if you will. That's it. So to install it, if you are on Arch Linux, it's very simple. Just IE-R. I'm using I here, which is an alias inside of ZSH, so that expands to -S. Pass in -- needed because I already have it. Now this needed flag basically skips any package that's already installed on Arch Linux, so you don't have to do anything. In my case, it's already done. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Now, there is one thing to keep in mind. Just take a look at this, okay? If I try and start IE-R &disown, okay, &disown, we'll find that there's an existing instance in a terminal in my special workspace. That's fine. It's still working, as you can see over here. That's beautiful. Great. Now, notice that there's this tray icon over here, right? Now, usually, when you do something like &disown on an application, what would happen is the application would just basically be delegated to the background, or relegated, if that's the right word. It would be sent to the background, and so you can actually safely close the application. But the terminal that actually launched it, right? Now, but if I do that, and then press Alt-Shift-C, the application just doesn't work anymore. As you can see, the tray icon disappeared and nothing actually popped up. So one thing you're going to have to do is not launch this from a terminal, but instead do this inside of your Hyprland auto start or inside of a .desktop auto start. So let me show you both methods. For Hyprland auto start, pretty simple. Just go to your autostart.conf file if you have it separately. And by the way, this syntax is not something you're going to find in a normal Hyprland setup, okay? I've customized Hyprland to basically be split into bunch of different modules, so I can actually go into a particular module and deal with settings only pertaining to that concern. right? That, along with custom theme switchers, is exactly what I teach you how to make inside of the program. That's the first link in the description called Hyper Accelerator. So as you can see over here, it's a program with over 10 hours of content that's taught over 400 people how to rise Hyprland just the way that you're seeing over here, with custom theme switchers, wallpaper switchers, and everything you could possibly want in order to make your Hyprland setup into one that is worthy of being on our /Unix point with hundreds and hundreds of upvotes. So if I show you this theme switchers module over here, this one, here I cover what theme switchers actually are, different kinds, how to set up wallpaper-based and custom theme switching in 2 hours, which piecing together and actually combining all the knowledge that I had over 4 years took me just over a week to do. Now, if I show you the code part, that's somewhere over here. So I'm actually writing the code and then walking it through with you. And yeah, if you want to learn how to make something like this yourself without copying and pasting dot files, without having to deal with all the headaches that come with, borrowing, quote unquote, but actually stealing others' work, you can go ahead, click the first link in the description and check out the program. Now, if I go into auto start, just go all the way down here. Let's see, you can basically do this. So we'll just call this instant eyedropper. You have to exec once equals just IE-R. That's it. That's all you have to do. You don't have to put in disown over there because it just does that by itself. So just put down IE-R and then you should be good to go. Next thing is going to be binding your Hyprland config. So let's open the Hyprland config, the binds.conf, modules, binds.conf. I go all the way down, instant eyedropper is here, right? Basically just copy these 2 lines and put them here. Alt-Shift-C brings up the menu. Should, if the application's actually running. So let's go ahead and run that. Put that here. Now Alt-Shift-C brings up the UI, and Alt-Shift-H brings up the clipboard kind of thing. This is actually a Rafi menu. I'm pretty sure you can customize this because it has a config file, but we will not be diving into that today. Yeah, this is the second method to auto start. You just have to take the code that's inside of over here and then put it inside of .config/auto start. So if you go here and then just go to assets, you should find a IER.desktop. So you go here, you copy whatever's in over here, okay? And then you just paste it inside of .config/auto start/IER.desktop. Once you do that, you just log out and log back in, and then you should see that the daemon is running in the background and you're able to actually use the eyedropper like you're supposed to. And once that's done, there's also a config file in config.toml. Let's see, it's actually created with defaults. Now, I thought that would not be the case, so let's actually take a look at what's inside. Config, IER, config.toml. Okay, that is quite a lot of stuff here, but let's just take a quick overview of this, see if we can change anything. Great. Now, here, this is the magnifier stuff, so all the stuff that we could configure on the fly, you can do here as well. And the colors, this one is most likely something you're going to want to change. Perhaps, if you have an include function, you can make the colors of this thing. Yeah, you can make the colors that you're seeing over here for the heads-up display and the actual color picker itself match with the current theme that you're choosing. So my current theme right over here is Capuchin, right? If I wanted to switch to something like Anime, which is the Komo Rebi color scheme, one I came up with on my own, and Ryzen or Kanagawa, something like that. If I wanted to do that, well, yeah, having an include feature would be pretty sweet. Now, I'm pretty sure this is a TOML file. So include is an actual thing, which means that you can actually make a custom theme switcher that includes this color picker as well, which would be pretty sweet. That too, by the way, I teach you how to do inside of the program. And yeah, let's see. Next thing is the HUD. Now this, you see that there's a glitch effect, right? As soon as it pops in, you see that glitch effect right about now, it should pop in. Yeah, there you go. You can control that glitch effect that you're seeing here. As for the font, you can change the font family. And most likely I would go with something like a sans serif font instead of a monospaced font, but you do you. Physics, yes. So as for the actual physics that you're seeing when you move around, you can change that as well. So it's actually pretty freaking customizable. You can even add not long, but more templates for copying the different formats that you're seeing over here, as well as showing different templates, as well as history. So any color that you copied, they are put inside of this colors array, and then, yeah, that's pretty much it. And these settings, they're for X11 environments only, so we're not going to have to deal with that whatsoever. And that is Instant Eyedropper Reborn, the tool that's going to save lots of Hyprland racers' lives and basically prevent lots of people from jumping off of a bridge because they're trying to pick a color that their color picker does not have enough precision to do so. If you want to learn how to rise Hyprland just like you're seeing over here with custom theme switchers and a lot more features like wallpaper switchers, like so, as well as Weibo layout switchers and decoration switchers and font switchers, and a million other features that I haven't covered here, like night mode, and then a game mode, which turns off all animations, and then gets rid of all fancy effects. If you want that, you can go ahead, click the first link in the description, and check out Hyper Accelerator. If you liked the video, hit like. If you loved it and want to see more like this in your feed, hit subscribe, and I will see you next time. Stay rising.